Welcome everybody to my Writing for the Web workshop. I'm very glad to see you all here, and of course we are recording for those who have missed it. My name is AJ, my pronouns are she and her, and I am from the digital learning team. RMIT University acknowledges the people of the Woiwurrung and Boonwurrung language groups of the Eastern Kulin Nation, on whose unceded lands we conduct the business of the university. RMIT University respectfully acknowledges their ancestors and elders past and present. RMIT also acknowledges the traditional custodians and their ancestors of the lands and waters across Australia where we conduct our business. So, I don't know if you all know the answer to this question already, but why should we write for the web in the first place? We write content all of the time: emails, journals, reports, tutorials. But what makes writing for the web different from other mediums? What goals do your readers have when they're online? We will cover this. And who does writing for the web help? Really, the answer to the last one is you. It's going to help you get your message across and understand. It's going to help your audience to meet their goals, which you'll see are different from when they open a book or a journal. Good writing for the web can even help people you hadn't included in your intended audience, because, of course, on the web, more people can come across it on their own, even people that you might not expect. So what is your audience searching for? The answer to this is, of course, an answer. We go to the web looking for answers to questions. We don't read every word online the way we read printed text. We scan the content for the specific piece that's going to answer the question that we are asking. And sometimes, of course, the reader isn't even human, because search engines will be looking through your content as well in order to index your pages. So to begin with, I'm going to go through some best practice for writing for the web. We're going to then at the end of the session have a little question and answer, which I hope everybody has been paying attention during the presentation. I thought I'd warn you first, which would be great if you could participate in. So plain language is a really good place to start. Using vocabulary that people use all of the time, not specific jargon. Avoid technical terms. Remember that your audience might be broader than you think. Using plain language is going to help your readers find what they're looking for, understand what they've found, and use it to meet their needs. So if you want some help saying, oh, I wonder if I've been jargonistic, because these are words that I use every day, there are online apps like Hemingway that are free, that will go through your text and help you simplify it. I actually use Hemingway a couple of times for putting things up on Yammer. It's super helpful. Possibly this should have been number one rather than plain language, but it seems a bit obvious, right? I almost left this one out entirely, because we always do go and check our grammar and spelling, and if we're using a Microsoft product, it's likely that that product is going to be checking it for us. For grammar, though, because you can't trust those programs as well as you can for spelling, try reading your content aloud. Does it make sense when you say it out loud? Fantastic. And the fabulous thing about web content is it is a lot easier to correct than print. You can see I've got a little example there of a misspelling of the word misspelling in a print document. Keywords tie in with plain language. So again, use vocabulary that your audience uses every day, but think about the key words that people are going to be searching for. What questions are people going to be asking a search engine that is going to lead people to your content? Now, that search engine may be a search within the website that you're in, whether that's the RMIT website, the Learning Lab, Compass, wherever. If you make sure those keywords are there, it's more than just search engines finding and promoting it. Your content's going to be scannable. People are going to be flicking through your content looking for those keywords, and they'll also understand what you're saying faster. actionable content. The way that you use your language is going to help you with writing for the web. It's content that is easily implemented by your readers. Normal content, which is just telling people a thing, this is a fact, doesn't stick in people's brains. So tell them what to do, and then tell them why. What's in it for them? Why should they do what you're telling them to do? You really need to not just explain what you want them to achieve, but say how to achieve it. Be explicit, but also keep it simple. And always think back on the earlier ones, plain language. There's something you may have heard of in writing for other mediums, which is the inverted pyramid. It's used by journalists to capture attention and make the readers want to read more. You need to do that on the web. You need to tell people the answer first. Tell them what they wanted to hear and then go into the details and the actions, the how to, the why, the what. Finally, if you want to, and please do, you can include a longer explanation for anybody who's still reading at that point. But if you haven't captured people's attention right at the start, then they're going to go elsewhere to find the content. So if you start with background, oh, here's the history of this project, or nobody's going to read that. It's not the way that people read things on the web. So let's talk about the elephant in the... No, we're not going to talk about the elephant in the room because we are going to stick to the point. Try to avoid cliches, hyperbole, excessive use of adjectives, adverbs, and metaphors. Don't fancy it up. You will lose your readers. It's more content for them to read that they just don't need to, and it's not going to be fulfilling their needs of answering the question that they want answered. Somebody, won't say who, but they're in this meeting, asked me, but what if these things are in my nature? And I replied, we don't always do things online that we do in private. Avoid all of these things. Use inclusive language. Make it personal. Address the audience as you. Talk about yourself, your team as we. Your readers are going to feel more comfortable and respected. There's a whole lot of things that we can do to achieve this. Inclusive language is more than just avoiding defaulting to masculine pronouns and terminology. We're already moving away from things like postman, fireman, mankind, guys. Hey, guys. The world is moving away from these things. But there's a lot more that you can do. You can get comfortable using they instead of he or she when gender doesn't matter. Try and avoid colloquialisms. This is tying back into plain language keywords, sticking to the point. Colloquialisms can confuse an international audience. So if you're saying, oh, the project didn't work because, the server was cactus, great, you Australians will understand what that is. But not everybody. And we are, with the web, aiming to get our message out to as many people as possible. Try and put people, not characteristics, first. So instead of saying we needed to include alternative text for blind people, becomes we include alternative text for people who have a visual impairment. It's a small thing, but it matters to a lot of people. Recognize individuals rather than lumping people into groups. So instead of saying librarians cling to paper books, which is, a little antagonistic, and also lumping people together, you say, a lot of librarians we've talked to still love the feeling of holding a paper book. So we're not smushing it all together. You can find out a whole lot more about inclusive language online, and RMIT has some resources to help you do that. Using the active voice is really important in writing for the web, and I'm sure you know this one. So instead of saying your teacher will do say your teacher will review your work rather than your work will be reviewed. Good. give me a break. Seriously, break your content into manageable sections. Short sentences, to the point, back to the elephant. Keep your paragraphs no more than 5 sentences. All of these are guidelines. You don't need to count every paragraph or how many lines are in it. You'll get a feeling for chunking your information so that it's one idea per paragraph. Yeah. If you move on to a new topic, even if it's a related topic, doesn't matter. Stick a new paragraph in. Group ideas together with lists. People love lists because they're really easily scannable. So if you can break it up instead of having a colon, semicolon, list of things, break it into bullet points, they're fabulous. And the RMIT Writing Style Guide has instructions for, do you put a full stop at the end, all of that sort of thing. Go find it, follow it, it's great. Tied in with the space is using layout and visual clues. Again, what are we doing? We're trying to help people find the answer to their question. We're trying to help them scan. So there are things to do and things to avoid. Draw attention to the things that you want people to find with pull quotes, like the little red one on here. Headings, of course, will draw people's eyes and make the content more findable. Try not to overuse bold and italics because they're difficult to read for some people. Never ever use underlines except when links. So you can't use underlines on the web because people will think it's a link and get frustrated. Avoid all caps pretty much at all costs. If you do want to use all caps, you can style all caps in with CSS. And if you need help with that, talk to a digital web person. But that way you're not actually typing all caps, which sort of shouts things out to screen readers. Again, for accessibility and usability, make sure your text is left aligned. What that means is that if your text is always following the same line down the page, your reader's eyes are always snapping back to the same place. It's comfortable and it really helps people who are having any sort of cognitive difficulties reading your content. Images, pull quotes, anything that is less important than the text can go over on the right. Never justify your text to fill a space. What justifying text does, you will have seen it in newspaper columns and magazines and things. It actually creates these weird rivers of white space between the letters. And some people have real difficulty following the text because their eyes get caught by a river and they go to the wrong place. Nest your headings semantically, by which I mean you should have one heading 1 on the page. Heading 2s should be next, and then heading 3s within them. Don't skip to heading 4 because it looks good. Make sure that it's a child of a heading 3. Helps with usability, accessibility, screen readers, all of those things. And for links, make sure you tell your reader exactly where the link will take them. Now, this means don't link a URL. URLs often have jumbled up letters in them, not particularly useful. Not all URLs are human readable. And even if they are, people don't need to see exactly the address and the folders that file lives in somewhere on the web. Tell them where the link is going to take them. And for goodness sake, please avoid click here, find out more, read more, because with a screen reader, you can tab between links and then you just get read more and you're like, read more about what? That's not helpful at all. You can say, read more about elephants. Great, they know exactly where that link is going to go. I talked about text being aligned to the left, images on the right. Do use images. Use them. Use images, use animations, use video to present complex ideas in a shorter time. I've just told you that we need to break up our text, keep it simple, all of that sort of thing. You can cut through that and make it so that you don't need to have pages and pages of just words and words and words and words, with, of course, these different media options. When you do need words, you can still use visual media to enhance the text. And of course, always remember to provide alternative text Captions, credit. If you are not putting a web page together, if you are giving a Word document to a webby person to put online, make sure you have indicated in the document what those things should be. I've given you an image, but here's the alternative text that I think should go along with that image. Particularly important if it's a graph, a chart, a mathematical idea, a chemical symbol. Don't just say chemical symbol. You need to tell people who cannot see the image exactly what it is that they're missing out, what they would be seeing if they could see it. Keep it current. This is a fun one, isn't it? Because we all know how much stuff there is on the net. That was written in 2003. And it just means that that information might not be current anymore. So make sure that your content is up to date. If you've got stuff up there from 2003, just make sure that you know that your content is still relevant. You go, yeah, sure, that was written in 2003, but it's still relevant today. And of course, some stuff is. Things like, maths ideas don't necessarily change terribly much. It always worked that way, and probably always will. But check it. Make sure it is. If you're telling people about ideas that may be changing, put reminders in your calendar to review that content. Just a personal suggestion, because that's what I do. If I put something online and I know that it's going to have an end date, or certainly a date where it's possible that it's going to become out of date, I'll check it in my calendar. Hey, don't forget to go and review this page, in February 2022 or whenever. We're going to do an activity now. And if I bring up the chat, which I can do, you are welcome to type into the chat or turn your microphone off and jump into the conversation. But what's going to happen is this. I've given you an activity here, which is a bit of text, which you may or may not notice is from my notes for this very presentation, but it's not been written for the web. This was written for me to get my ideas together. I would not present this way on the web. So take a moment. I was going to sing the girl from Ipanema for you while you do that, but that'd probably be really distracting. No, okay, I'll stop. If you just want to flick through that. But then I'm going to highlight pieces of the text, and I'll ask anybody, type in the chat or turn your mic off to give me your opinion of what is wrong with that bit or how you could improve that part. So, allowing that people might still be reading for it.
This is Peter H.A. I think there's no paragraphing.
Oh, that's great. Yes. So, and we will come up to this. It is far too chunky, isn't it? It's all been smushed together and there's been nothing broken up. That is definitely one of them. So you've skipped ahead. Well done. And I will highlight that bit and we can say, Peter's already answered this one. But just for now, I've highlighted people who write for the web. So addressing this part specifically, Tracy Love has said that it's impersonal and we'll lump people together.
Yes. Or when you write for the web.
Fantastic. Make it personal. You got it absolutely perfect. When you are writing for the web, you should. Yeah. Purple prose. Any ideas? Well, Cicely Wong has answered the question very well in the chat. Does anybody want to say it out loud?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does it mean? It's a colloquialism, right? So just so that everybody knows, purple prose, the etymology of it was something like there was a poet who wrote a poem using the word purple a lot in it, and it was very fancily and flowery, and, it's all right if it's a poem, but we don't want to use that terribly often. So use plain language. So instead of saying avoid cliches, hyperbole, and purple prose, I said, whatever it was that I said, avoid cliches, hyperbole, and metaphors. Yes, Prince wrote very, very purple. This should have been highlighted the whole sentence, but what are we doing here? Any thoughts? Lauren got it. Dot points. Fantastic. We want to say these things. It'll be more scannable. They'll understand it faster, and search engines will like it too. It's a list, so it should have been bullet pointed, and in fact was earlier in the slides. So instead of run-out sentences, there you go. Sentences should be kept short. What's wrong with this bit? Tracy got it. Use the active voice. Keep sentences short. Yeah, or however you want to write it. Yeah. It might even help to put dates in your calendar to review content. It's a lovely suggestion, but any thoughts about this bit? Be more direct. Nice, Karen. That's exactly right. Too passive, too long. Put dates in your character. Excellent answers. Schedule dates in your calendar. Yeah, aim for action. To find out more, click here. I waxed lyrical on this earlier, so I'm sure you all know why we shouldn't write that. Yeah, why? Not a link. Yeah, click where. Well, we're assuming that that is a link and not just underlined, but yes, absolutely. If you had just underlined the text, that would be no good. But click here doesn't tell you where the link is going. Yeah, fantastic. Excellent. People are doing really great in the chat. Thank you. There's probably a number of answers to this section, but what specifically? Vivian, thank you very much. Italics. Use italics to just highlight individual words because it's an emphasis. Don't make whole paragraphs italicized. Here's Peter's one. He's already answered it. I said that I would acknowledge that. So there you go, Peter. It's too long. We need to break it up. And there's a number of different ideas happening here. So we should separate them from each other. Subheadings would be good in here too. Yeah, we've got a couple of different ideas in here. They should actually be broken up by headings because then people can scan the headings. Or if you're using a screen reader, or you can just do it yourself. Tab on your keyboard can take you through headings. So a little cheater sheet. Use plain language, check grammar and spelling, include keywords, aim for action, use the inverted pyramid, stick to the point, make it personal, break up your content, think about layout, use visual clues, show, don't tell, and keep it current. That is the end. Thank you, everyone.